Well, good afternoon and good evening, everyone, and good morning, of course. Thank you so much for joining me for another exciting episode of 3D Shenanigans, season 2. There we go. I don't know what it is about the chicken raffle. I have no idea. The background on this is there's a little tool that is called some kind of a bot software, and that runs locally on your Windows computer, but it's been superseded by a cloud-based version of the same thing. And oh, does it? Look at that. That's uncool. Maybe I've turned into a robot. That's never good. Thank you for letting me know, Brian. So and I've tried the cloud-based version earlier. And was the music okay then? It just now there's echo. That's terrible. Oh, okay. There. Is this better? Maybe this is better. Let me know. Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Perfect. Press the wrong button again. Okay, good to know. Thank you so much for letting me know. That's, I will have to relabel that button later. So there was this local version that you have to log in with 2 accounts, and then it kind of reads the chat messages and can react to it, and we can have anything from giveaways to all kinds of other stuff. And I tried the cloud-based version earlier, and this cloud-based version is trying to do a raffle thing, a chicken raffle thing. So it's like a tombola thing. You can enter, and eventually I think the thing will do a draw. I didn't switch this on, by the way. This is how it came. And Jeremy, this is mixer only for some reason. It's haven't managed to make that work with YouTube just yet. But yeah, maybe in another iteration of this program we may be able to do it. So yes, so that's the raffle. Enter and let's see what happens. I tried to enter, nothing happened. Brian got a ticket, so if you're the only one entering, I guess you're going to be the winner. Who knows? So let's find out. Let's find out. I have some interesting news about the project that I'm working on, namely that the lighting does not seem to be adequate for what I wanted to achieve. So there appears to be a big difference. Let me bring this up actually. There appears to be a big difference in Blender between mesh lights and regular light objects. So in what's it called? In DAZ Studio, they're absolutely identical. So there's no difference between them. They give the same light quality. And I think under the hood, Iray actually does render things like light object as mesh lights. That's just how it works. And this is the little compilation that I have prepared. Let me also go and switch my thing on here, my pointer thing. And it turns out that in Blender that is just not the case. So in Blender, mesh lights are very grainy when they come out, and the light objects look much better. So let's have a look at the outside here, and this top thing, no, this is it, this is it, perfect. So this thing here, this has been rendered with 100 iterations, and it is using light objects. So the image is grainy, but that's not really a problem because I didn't switch the denoiser on for this. So if we were to switch the denoiser on, we get something like this, and that looks, rather cool. But that's not what we've set up in the stream up until today. This was Grant's denoiser, by the way. This was the Blender internal denoiser. Let me see if we can zoom in, that you can get a bit of a better view of the quality that I'd like to achieve with about 100 iterations so that I can make this animation work. So this is with the Blender denoiser, this is Grant's denoiser, so much sharper details here. And this is of course without the denoiser. And we do get to see some noise there, but that's to be expected. That's just that's just what it looks like. But that is not what we set up. These are light objects. We've set up the mesh light. So let me see what happens if I show you that with 100 iterations. And that is of course quite terrible. Not all parts of the image are terrible though. So notice that this here is an emissive surface, and that looks pretty clean. The outside here, that looks a tiny bit grainy, but where the grain really is starting to show is where my mesh lights come into effect. So I've just turned these things into emissive shaders in Blender, and that is the light that is being emitted from them, and that turns out to be super, super grainy. Compare that to the ones that I've set up earlier. which are light objects. So I've replaced these. I've turned the shader to something very minimal so that they appear brighter, just the light objects. And then I put some point lights just in front of them. And we're going to have to go through and do that with some other objects there as well. And that's the result. But the way we've set it up, it looks like this. And then, of course, you can imagine that if I ask the denoiser to denoise that image, then this happens. While he does an excellent job at reducing noise up here and up here in all the solid colors, it does even down here where the floor texture is. That texture is actually there, so that's very interesting. It does a terrible job with the light sources because if we look at the original image, there's really nothing that the denoiser can tell, well, what's noise and what's actual good image content. So that's not good. Oh, good. So you've also received a ticket. Well, congrats, Christina. Maybe I should try that again. Maybe I'll try again as well. I think maybe I'm not allowed because I'm the owner. Jeremy, for kicks, why don't you try it as well? ! raffle. See if that does anything. Nah, Streamlabs doesn't give me a ticket, so it's it's between you. I don't know how we're gonna determine the winner. I think the system does that automatically, but hey, one of those things. Look at that, and keeps reminding us as well. I swear I didn't switch this on. This is just how the thing came, so it's kind of out of the box thing. So while we're on the denoiser here, let's have a look at the floor texture. I'll zoom in here so we get a bit of a better view here. I compiled this. I think I'm going to write an article about these observations that mesh lights are either not as ungrainy as they perhaps could be, or I don't know what I'm doing. That is also very possible. So anyway, this is with the denoiser. This is without the denoiser. Sorry, this is with the denoiser by Grant, and this is with the denoiser that Blender delivers. So that does not such a good job at getting rid of that much noise. So yeah, if I go back to this, yes, this is the full screen image with Grant's denoiser, which literally turns lead into gold, and this is the Blender denoiser, which really struggles down here. But considering this is the image that we had there to begin with, that is not surprising at all. I also have the same comparison here as an interior. I believe, there we go, that's the interior. This is with 500 iterations, and this is with Grant's denoiser. This is with the Blender denoiser. So there's some improvement of quality there, but interior doesn't look that bad. I don't think I have an undenoised version here. No, I don't think I have that. But the interior looks a lot better. Where it gets bad again is inside the movie theater. Let me go and I have got a full render. Shall we put that together quickly in Photoshop, and we can have a look at the whole sequence? Might take a couple of minutes. Let's do that. Let's do that. That is not a bad idea. Let's do that. I think it's most of it is in the Creative Cloud thing. Right, I think I've put it into 2 different folders because, that's just the kind of guy I am. So we can put this one together, which is the outside, and then I think the last part of the sequence is rendered. Yeah, we can just get it to about here. We'll get a good impression for that. So let's see if we can do that in Photoshop. Open, navigate to my folder, select the first picture, and select image sequence. Shame it didn't work for you, Jeremy. So you and I, we just don't get to see. We don't get to take part in the raffle, I guess. So I guess Photoshop will think about it for a second. No, still thinks about it. Oh, okay. Render video. Well, yes. Let's render the video. We'll call it V4. Let's call it V4. Yes, that's probably so. The thing about the CloudBot thing is, when I had the local version, I had to log into a Mixer account with into Mixer with 2 accounts. But with the CloudBot version, I now have essentially 3 CloudBots, and I think I have to 4 CloudBots actually. I have to switch them all on independently, so I can have one for Mixer, one for YouTube, one for Twitch, and I think they may run independently. One for Periscope. Have you ever heard of Periscope? I'm on it. I didn't know that it existed. It's a Twitter streaming platform. That's Periscope. Yes, but of course that makes it a little complicated. But eventually I'd like to switch it on so that we have simple commands like if somebody wants to get a link to something, I could then do something along the lines of, exclamation mark hello. Watch this. If I type that, then the chatbot comes back with hello from the CloudBot, comma, username. And it can do all kinds of things. So it can then react to commands that you can say. You can try it out if you're on Mixer. Exclamation mark hello will do that. It'll just pull in your username and then just write you a message essentially. But eventually I'd like to have something that gives out meaningful links. So if we talk about something, I can just ask people to go exclamation mark FB, and then the link to my Facebook page would come up, or a link to my YouTube channel, or something like that, or even meaningful articles. So yeah, that's the plan for it. And of course, it's all more complicated than it should be. But hey, it takes Photoshop quite a while to render this out. But I think it'll be worth it. And we will probably see some shocking results in regards to the light, but it'll give us a good indication of where we need to put some work in. And my 3 computers here, they have been rendering all through the night. So, appreciate that, guys. Thank you. They were very helpful. So, yes, once I have turned all these emissive surfaces that cause noise into real light objects, we can see what we want to do. I think if I can get away with 100 iterations for the render, then that'll be really good, because that only takes maybe 12, 15 hours in total to render. So that'd be cool. That's at 720p. So I'm thinking if it is 100 iterations, I can then render a larger thing with that as well. And then if we're happy with the results, that the results are actually going to be usable, I'm thinking maybe I can also replace some of the materials and use the PBR materials. Christina and I were talking earlier about something that's called Extreme PBR. That's a plugin for an add-on for Blender, and that comes with about 1,000 PBR materials that are apparently very easy to add to any object, including animated water and all that. So very exciting. I want to try that out. So thanks for the tip, Christina. Very nice. Come on, we're nearly there. Nothing beats watching a green bar go from left to right. There. Watched it long enough. Where did I put that? It was on here, wasn't it? Somewhere. Was it on the desktop? I forgot now. Render to video. Where was it? Desktop. Yeah. Oh, create a subfolder. Right. I'm looking for a subfolder. Gotcha. Called Cinema 4. Am I just not seeing it? Is it here and I can't find it? Cinema. No, that's Cinema. That's handy, isn't it? I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Cinema V4. There we go. Oh, top left corner. Oh, nice one. And now it's just rendered out the JPEG images. It didn't render out a video. Why did it do that? Man, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to do this again. That's terrible. We can always just go and look at the images, I guess. That should be doable. But that's not really an animation. No, let's not do that. Let's go ask Photoshop to do this whole thing again. I mean, seriously, Photoshop, come on. Render to video. image sequence. Yeah, I should have said media encoder, and then just go V4. There we go, and we don't need it in a subfolder. Thanks, that's okay. Maybe we'll go a little bit quicker this time, who knows. Yeah, looks like it, looks like it. I killed Elvis, how you doing? Good to see you. We're just waiting for the second time for Photoshop to export this animation so we can have a look at what our current result looks like. And then we'll get on with some actual 3D work. Yes, Brian, tell us that I found I saw the product and I thought it was rather marvelous, and I like the documentation too, but you being a writer and all, have a look at it. That'd be much appreciated. Headphones that Christina created look very good, actually, very good. I don't know if I have a promo on my desktop. If I have, I'll show them to you. Kind of work in progress thing. Yeah, there we go. Aha, there we go, that's it. So Christina built these for DAZ Studio, very nice. And I made the render, and the background was just there as a holding thing. And then Christina did some Photoshop magic to tidy up the hairs here a little bit. And yes, but this is going to be our main promo images. And this is the pure render, just with a red background that matches I guess the lips here. But the product is of course the headphones, and yes, so that's very nice. 3D Scrutiny logo on it, so very, very cool. This raffle thing is still going on, I hear. It's very interesting. I'll see if I can switch it off in a moment. Let's have a look at the actual animation here. Whoa, there we go. Okay, cool. These are the terrible lights. Inside doesn't actually look that bad, but there is a kind of, yeah, and there's those lights again, so we're gonna have to replace those. And then I think the rest of the image sequence is kind of in a different folder, so we're not going to worry about that. So, but I can see that 100 iterations, even on the parts that look okay, are not going to be enough unless we change the light. So there's this other thing with Grant's denoiser that apparently it's good for animations. There's also one undenoised frame there, so I guess in the animation sequence it just takes into consideration changes from frame to frame. But I can see at my end here, I don't know if it's visible in the stream, I can see some like almost spongy patches that hover, like almost clouds that hover over the whole render. So 100 might not be enough for that. It may be really bad because I don't know. It's just the whole sequence looks pretty bad, but if I put it on a still image, that should be fine. Mine's equivalent to what I'm sending out. I'm still getting a good picture here at my end, Christina. So I don't know. Yeah, mine looks exactly as I'm sending it out, except of course for the light. So yeah, they do look terrible, but we're going to work on that now. And also, when Photoshop encoded this, it re-encoded the pictures, which were not very high resolution to begin with. So these lights I've already changed. I've turned them into regular light objects, so we can ignore those. We'll test those though. When we get in here, I have also, that was yesterday by the way, I've switched off the big plane at the top that used to be an emissive surface to bring a little bit of extra illumination into the foyer. So I've switched that off, but these things, they're still surfaces. So I'm gonna switch those off again and put light objects in here. I might also turn this down. So these are currently providing the main light in the foyer. These not so much. They are emissive, but they don't add to the actual room light. That's probably these puppies here. The light strips at the bottom, this we changed that yesterday, so I'm glad it says J Plays now. The light strips at the bottom I'm actually okay with. They are not, they don't add to grainy light, so I'm going to leave those in place as well. I don't think I'm going to change those. And here we've turned the speakers into kind of emissive surfaces as well, but again, they don't add to the room light, and the result looks okay. So they just look like something that's glowing, but they don't add any light. So this is what these guys are doing, a little bit of extra room light, and maybe they're just way too strong. So I'm going to go and turn them into similar surfaces as these guys here, and then I'm going to put little point lights just underneath the ceiling so that they kind of glow, and we get a little bit of ambient lighting in the theater here. And I'm going to switch off that chicken dinner raffle thing, because that's just crazy. If I can, let me just have a look at this. Yeah, I don't know. It's constantly saying there's a chicken dinner raffle going on. Unbelievable. Cloudbot, switch off. Woo! I'm sorry, Brian. You won, by the way. There we go. Oh, did you see on the Epic Store there's a game called the Bee Simulator? That's kind of cool. I like the sound of that. Oh dear. Yes. That's that and that. No, that's not that. That's the wrong program. That is, it's this one here. Christina, what's happening with Blender 2.81 then? Is that gonna come out in the middle of the night at some point, or have they postponed that now until tomorrow for good? There we go. That's our project. Give Evie 1 second to get that real-time rendering going so that we can have a look dev. There we go, with textures and all that. So yes, these are the lights that I've put in earlier. So these are the ones that are now light objects. This is exactly how I did it. I placed the cursor where that light is, and then just created a point light in there with a setting of 40 watts. Small size, and that was kind of okay. These are linked duplicates as well. So if I change the properties of one, all the properties of all the lights on the outside are changed. And I've called them canopy outdoor lights. There we go. Oh, poor guys. I'm sure they weren't gonna. They were hoping to put that out much sooner. Oh, look at that! Actually, this is why the interior looks good. I can just see that we have actual point lights here. In fact, this is a duplicate light here. This is a second light. What happened here? Man. Yes, this looks like it's a duplicate light that we didn't want to have in here. Let's go and delete that. And the other light that I've just disabled, that's that one. So these are all, these aren't, this is why the interior looks good. I didn't know that. I had totally forgotten that. These are actual light objects, so we're happy with those. So then the only other light emitting surface that we may have cranked up a bit is this thing here. I do remember these parts here. Emergency lights 1 and 2. Oh. Oh yes, and I remember we took an actual light shader out of the material library here. Okay. Ah, okay, I see. Ugh. And then there's the Mac builds that were failing earlier. And that's a shame, isn't it? There's just so much stuff, so much to do. It's never easy. When they had like one release a year or so, that was difficult enough. But then now that it's so many, they'll get there. I'm sure they'll get there. These things were fine. I was okay with that. And these are the ones that really need attention. All these lights. There we go. Light and tar. What's tar? See if these are the correct ones. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so this is my emission shader that I've set up. So literally just one shader and cranked it up to 100. Not a good idea, I say. So what we'll do then is I'll put this down to 2 maybe, and then I'll do a quick render of this frame here just to see what it looks like now and see if the graininess is still there. 500 renders we can probably do. We'll probably do 200. Let's do 100. We should see good result or bad result then very quickly. And let's do it in just in like 70 something percent. Let's see. Oh yeah, the other thing I've done yesterday evening, like late into the night until like at 2 a.m. or something, I've hooked up my other render nodes using a program called No Machine. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that is something along the lines of TeamViewer. It also creates something like a VNC connection, but it's the only program with which you can remote start Blender. I've tried this with Remotix from my Mac before. I've tried this with RDP. I've tried this with regular VNC before, and Blender just doesn't want to start. And it, from what I understand, it largely has to do with the graphics cards that are employed there. But No Machine seems to be the only one that can remotely start the GUI. So you can always render Blender things via the command line, no matter how you log in to the computer. All you need to have is the path, the full path to Blender, to your blend file, and then you give it some parameters. But in my case, it just wasn't, that's cumbersome if you're doing animations and distributed stuff. So I was glad to put that in, and that lets me use both my CPU and my GPU for rendering. So that's also not possible by the command line. You can either use the GPU or the CPU, but you can't tell the command line to use both, as far as I know. But the GUI can do it, and the reason why I'm telling you all this is because I've made the tiles, the render tiles, smaller. The default is something along the lines of 64 by 64 pixels, and that leads to the fact that if the GPU is finished rendering, but 24 cores are still hanging there and working on something, then the GPU has to wait for the next image in the sequence to come in. And making the tiles smaller makes it more efficient to render. That's all. That's why I've got these little things running around rather than the large ones. So we can see this is better in regards to noise. And there we go. That's the denoise part. So that's much nicer. And that was with 200 iterations. So that we can totally live with that. That's perfect. But the auditorium looks a little bit dark now. And that's, of course, because we don't have that ambient light lurking about there anymore. So I'm going to add just a few point lights on a low output that just, and like in the foyer, that just creates some good stuff here. Woo, there we go. Very nice. I wish I could pronounce your name. Is it Andre? Andre, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. Let's go and see how we can make it happen. Shaders turned down. Let's go into the layout view. Oops. Oh, wrong keyboard. There we go. Is this dude? No. I'm going to start with this guy here. Press L to get the linked duplicates, Shift S to go and put the cursor to the selected surface there. Don't know why I can't pull this down anymore there. Perfect. And now back in object mode and also back in the lights folder, I'm going to go and create a point light. That'll be just kind of exactly at the point of the geometry, so that's not really where I want it right now. So I'm going to push that down when I've got all the lights in place. So once they're all there, I'm going to go and drop them all down a little bit. For now, I'm just going to distribute them correctly. If I can get the navigation going correctly here without having to remove walls or whatnot. How does, my goodness, maybe I'll have to. How many lights do we have here then? Is this the first one? Man, I think I'm gonna have to go and eliminate some of these walls. Yeah, that's better. I don't know if I need to do the back row of lights as well. I don't think we see them, so I think I'll just start from here. It's also good to see the distribution of these lights here. Okay. Now, where were we? Select that light. See where it is called point light. So I'm going to call them cinema, maybe. Yes, I have seen that screenshot. Yes, thank you. I have seen that screenshot. I'm going to call them cinema interior lights. That should be good. So Alt D, click, and I'll say GY perhaps. Nice. Alt D, enter GY. Put those guys here. And I might actually just use that one as well. So Alt D, click GY, so that we have the full, whoops, where are you? GY, there, that we have the full row of lights. In the right place. Is that 5, 1, 2? There's one missing. There's one missing up there. Alt D, select GY over here, and that's the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. So now I can just trying to work out the best pattern. So I think I can move that over here and over there, and then these are just the same rows that are just I think missing one light then. Okay, let's try this. Alt D, and that is GX. Move those guys over here, I guess. Good thing is it doesn't have to be that accurate. Alt D, GX, put these guys over here. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing again. Alt D, GX, move these guys here, or thereabouts, and also move them slightly further back. So GY, there, GX. Ooh. Ah, thank you. I shall have a look at that. Alt D, copy them again. G, that, is it X? Yeah, it was X. Somewhere over here. Well, there, perfect. Now I'm going to move all of them slightly further down because I don't want them to be embedded in the geometry at the top there. Can we do that with Shift Select? No, we can't. That's terrible. Ah, that's terrible. Is there a way to multi-select in the outliner, Christina? Is that possible? You'd imagine it's Shift. I could just click. So I can. Is it Alt? No, Alt is that. Is it? That's Control. Is it Alt? No, it's not Shift. I could just. No, it doesn't seem to do that. It's if I select the first one and then the last one, Shift only selects the first one and then the last one, and nothing in between. Maybe it's Control Shift. Let's find out. Control Shift the last one? No, that's also not it. Maybe Alt Shift. First one. Alt Shift the last one. No, that does nothing. Maybe it's a bug. I'm going to go select them individually. All 24 of them. There we go. G, that is now Z, I believe. Move everyone further down to about here. There. 10 watts. I'll see if 10 watts is enough. I will have to bring back the walls, by the way. Otherwise, it'll be we'll get the HDRI from the outside. Since I don't know where the walls are, I'm going to have to go and look through them. Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. I'll go back to my camera. Sorry, camera. There we go. And then go to about here. This is where we start seeing the lights. Okay, let's do another render here. In fact, let's save, shall we? Before anyone renders anything, let's go save stuff. Yeah, Cinema 13. It's a good title. Control. I've tried Control as well. It doesn't seem to work. I'll try it again in a moment, but it didn't seem to do the trick. So yeah, this is definitely the Control key. We'll see. So 100 iterations now. Actually, let me go and switch this over so that only my. Oh, look at that. This was not intended. This was supposed to be having I was supposed to be on here, in fact. Yeah, optics, there we go, that's it. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, so in 2.81 it's going to be Control. Awesome, awesome. That makes perfect sense that nothing does it in 2.80, but in 2.81 it'll be. That's cool. Thanks for letting me know. So Control. Gotcha. Nice. Do you know, this is something I really appreciate about this way of working, these streams, that we all seem to be learning new stuff. It's nice. I like that. It's nice hanging out and and trying new things. I do appreciate that. So we have a bit of grain, but this is only 100 iterations now. We have a bit more definition here in the seeds. It's almost too light for me. And it's also not the light quality I'm looking for. I liked it much better with the when there were no ceiling lights. So perhaps maybe something different, like lights that are kind of, you know, on the sides in the aisles. Maybe that's something we can look into. Oh, box select works in the outliner. I'll try that in a moment, because it might mean we want to probably delete all the lights that I've just put in there. I'm just waiting for the denoiser to kick in and do its thing here. If ever that, oh, there we go, there we go. So denoiser is doing a really good job here. The more he has to work with and the less he has to denoise, the better, of course. Yes, because I don't want to make it any more light in here than it already is. I think I'm going to change the light quality a little bit and turn them into something like orangey lights here. Let me see if I can do this selecting multiple. So just B. Oh yeah, look at that, haha. And then yes, and you can even add to a selection. Brian, thank you so much. You have won the chicken raffle. That is very cool. So in my case, if I wanted to select all the interior lights B, and then just go draw a box around this, keep scrolling, hit that box again, add to the box. Haha, nice one. Very cool. I like it. B for box select, very nice. I've just changed the color temperature a little bit. It made it just a bit more orangey. See what that looks like. I think it's still not the light effect that I'm looking for. It's still too light. I like the idea that things were coming from the what's it called, the screen as a light source, but I just want to add a bit more definition to the seats here. So I'm thinking I'll try and add either some of the point lights in between here, or I'll just add two strip lights, one here and one there. Maybe just point lights. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, cool. I can also try, I like the little spots at the ceiling there. So what I might try also is to turn it down a little bit, turn the 40 watts down into something more like, you know, 20. Also switch the denoiser. Oh no, don't do that, Blender. That's not good. We're going to wait for the program to respond. We're still waiting for the program to respond. Windows, don't freak out. There we go. Program's fine. Denoiser. I'm going to switch that denoiser off for now, just so that there's no, you know, funny business. But yes, lights. So oh, there we go. Now it says 10 watts. Didn't it say 40 watts a minute ago? Huh. I don't know. Oh, right, okay. Interesting. To 2.81, right? Not 2.91. I'm sure they're not working that far ahead. Even though I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were. Oh, it looks like Blender is not quite responding to me anymore. Perhaps I'm going to go and restart it. Let me go and save my efforts here. Just go restart Blender quickly. And I'm on this optics branch here, so I'm not even in the official release. Maybe I should go into the official release. Maybe I'll go official as well. I won't deviate. I'll go official. That's right. Yes, I'm on the RTX experiment, so maybe let's go official. I do like the new splash screen of the Blender. That is really nice. Yes, it's a good point, because it's a few weeks old, so it may have been the official 2.8 fork with optics features, but it may also have been something pre-release. It's possible. I don't really remember. But optics support, that's going to be in 2.81, right? That's the plan. Like officially. So I'll maybe make it 6 watts here. I know it's not a lot, and maybe I should just take the lights out, really. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. What do you think? Shall I leave the lights in? It's 24 light sources, perhaps. We're just going to go easy on the render engine and just... I'll leave them in for that. Good. That's cool. I'll leave them in. True. That's why it is a lie, of course. I understand. Let me go and get rid of the whole... Can I do that? Yeah, that would be nice. This is where collections would really come in handy now. The whole roof. There we go. Yeah, take the roof away. And I'm thinking... I'll just put just maybe 3 point lights here, there, and there, and then just have them here, this row, and then maybe a couple more here and there, something like that. Should look geometrically pleasing, I'm thinking. Audience. Or maybe just on the sides, one in the middle and 2 either side. Let's do that. Let's do that. Cursor to selected, hoping it's going to be exactly there. That's very cool. Now go back into my lighting collection and add myself a point light, and we're calling it floor lights. I'm going to say cinema floor lights. There we go. So I know what that means. These are going to be a bit stronger, so I'm going to make them maybe 100 watt just to begin with, see if that works out well. And I'm also going to give them a slight color cast here. And with that guy selected, Command D, GX, put that guy here. And with, I suppose we can just select this guy, GX, and put him here. Where are my cinema floor lights now? Are they not in the... This is not alphabetical. Oh, right. I must have called the lamp something, but not the object. Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? So I'll just call them floor lights. Floor lights 2, maybe, and floor lights 3. Floor lights there. So let me try this again with the B. Select those. Yeah, you're right. The other 2 lights are not selected. Interesting. Since it's only 3, it's probably not going to be a major issue, but good to know that that's how it works. So Alt D, and now we're going to move them back and up as well. So GY moves them kind of over here. GZ moves them up somewhat like that. And the same thing holds true for the guys, the guys in the front row now. There. Let's see what that looks like. With the roof hopefully back. All right. This is exciting. Captain Slaymore, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Good evening, shall I say. Where are you joining us from? I was wondering, are you in the US, Europe, Australia? We have such an international audience, you know. Welcome back. So I've just added some lights in the interior here that hopefully give a bit more definition to the chairs down here. They may be a little bit hot. There may also be not enough of them in place, so ideally we'd put a lot of them around, but I don't think that's necessary. I think the effect is working quite nicely. They may just be a little bit strong right now. East Coast, me too. Okay. Yeah, me too. Eastern Standard Time. So it's getting dark already. Winter is definitely coming, I'm telling you. I'm still not sure if we should keep all the ceiling lights here. I think I might just, they do look nice, but I don't know. Do they really add that much? They do add that little glow. I do like that. But I also see the vast amount of noise that so many light sources in a small room create. So if we could just do without that overhead, I might just go and switch them off. And see what that does to the noise there. Also, I don't think we need them for illumination. So I think, yeah, I'm going to get rid of the ceiling lights. I'm going to leave the ones in the seats here, but I'll turn their intensity way down. So this is a bit strong here. We just want a little bit of a reminder that there is geometry here, you know, rather than a big black kind of, or a big block of something. I might also duplicate them a couple more times so that we have another row of lights here, or do something similar to what they did on the ceiling here, that we don't have 3, we just have 2 here and then 2 more here perhaps. I might do that. Yes, let's do that. So floor lights. Whoa, my goodness, Captain Slaymore, that is so nice of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is really kind of you. Wow, that's an unexpected surprise. Many thanks. Many thanks from one person on the east coast of the US to another. Thank you so much. Very nice. So 100 watts was too much. Perhaps we'll try 40. Let's try 40. And let's get rid of the ceiling lights, cinema interiors. I'm going to try this one more time with the box select. So B, drag around my selection. There's so many to select here. Let's do that. And then you say hit select, Christina. Is that right? But when I do that, that's not working, is it? Oh, right click, right. Then you right click. Oh, then you say, yes, that's a nice workaround. That's a nice workaround. Delete, yes. Poor lights. Oh, such a shame. I'll also go and I should really move the roof and the walls to their own collection, so that I can then just take that collection away. That makes it much easier for me to work there. Should I do that? I might do that. Roof, that's the roof here. I might do that. Let's do that. M, new collection, and we'll say exterior. Well, let's call them walls, actually. That in 2 weeks I'll be able to remember why I did that. So it's now in the collection walls. That's cool. So then there's this as well. This is probably in here still. Walls, runner board, cornice, skirting board. That's not it then. It's just called wall. Well, do it the hard way then. Move to walls. And then I'll select this and say move to walls. And this is technically also a wall, isn't it? So also that's walls. And I bet we have, well, we've got this thing as well. No, that's a different object. That's the ceiling already. This is also a different thing. We don't need all of them. So then, hopefully, I can have one thing that has. Why hasn't that moved to the other thing? Oh, right, okay, because there, walls, perfect. So now walls is, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Oh, really? Oh, let me try that. So this is the object I'm intending to hide. Right click and move to collection. Oh, there's also M in here. Walls. So now you're both in there. There, that's what I wanted. Right, so I don't have to hover over here. That's interesting. Thank you for the tip. So I can do that here as well. See, no, that's bizarre. So here, hovering, clicking M brings up that move to collection menu. But in here, right-clicking, move to collection also says the shortcut is M. That's bizarre. Yet when I click it, was it because it's T? Right, okay, I get it. It's T followed by M. That's the idea, isn't it? Is that how that works? No, that's also not how it works. And we wonder why Blender isn't industry standard. Hey, that's okay. At least right-click works. That's all we need to know. Oh, this is, by the way, this is how I built the cinema screen here, the TV screen. I've put, this is just a plane on which my video file is, and behind it we can still see that there is the original still image, the original still texture there. So I didn't replace that because it was an awkward aspect ratio. I just put a plane right in front of it, so it's technically a billboard, if you will. Let me go move it back into position there. And let's put some more lights where we want to put them. And we can't select the lights. No, don't do that. Wireframe. Can we see? There we go. That's the lights. So yeah, I'll just take, no, not you. I'll take this, make a marked linked duplicate, and then I'll put that. I'll put that back into, what else we got? Solid. Solid might work. I do like look def, I must say. I do like look def. So GX somewhere here, I was thinking. GY somewhere here. And then probably also down like that. GX, we'll put him here. And then put those guys up somewhere here. Here. Yeah. Move them up somewhat, maybe here. Put more walls back and have another look at a render. Control S Marcos. Glad to meet you. Welcome to the stream. I see, it doesn't work for me. How interesting, Christina. Yeah, I do miss the lights on the ceiling. They do look, they were quite nice, I must say. That was quite nice. But I just can't decide. Perhaps deleting them was a mistake. Maybe I should have put them in a different collection as well, and then I could bring them now back if I change my mind here. I could just bring them back. I can also very much live without them. They're just seeing those little light circles on the ceiling. They did look quite nice, I must say. But I think the lights here between the seats work quite well. They're just still a little bit too strong. So I'm going to tone those down even further. Maybe give them 20 watts perhaps. What was your nickname before then, Marcos, if you don't mind me asking? Very good point. Very good point. I was watching William Cheer's stream the other day, and his bot every 10-15 minutes came up with a message, gentle reminder to William Cheer to save the project. I thought that was kind of nice. That's an interesting timer thing that goes off and tells you, hey, you really have to save your project. That's clever. Okay, let's make him maybe 25. Let's do that. Let's do 25. Oh, there's that video. Where was the video before? And also, let's just look at it in the viewport rendered. Oh, Mac 9, Marcos. Yes, I think I do remember you then. Welcome back in that case. Oh, and also, if we wanted to see a slightly better render, let's just set the viewport samples to 0, and then the computer just keeps continuously improving the image. Yeah, I think that works quite nice. So we have just these little hints that there is geometry. That's all I really wanted. The light intensity itself in the interior here is okay. What do you think about the ceiling lights? Help me out here. What would you do? Would you put the ceiling lights back, or would you leave it without the ceiling lights? Just small point lights underneath many of these, and underneath each of these things here, creating just a subtle little spread out circle there on the ceiling. Looked quite nice. It also makes the interior a little bit brighter. I don't think we need them. I think I'm going to leave them. Yes, but if you have thoughts, do let me know. I think I'm going to, just in favor of overheads, I think I'm going to take them away. I'm going to leave them out. So that this is now up to about 50 samples. So I think I'm going to let this run so I get a bit of an impression of how many samples I need to be happy with the image. So 200 and above would be ideal, maybe 500 for the final render. That would be nice. So that's this number I'm talking about here. This is the number that's going up, and it's saying path tracing sample. And if you set the viewport samples to 0, it means this continuously increases as time goes on, up to a whopping 16.7 million samples. That's I guess that's a hard limit there, but it gives you an impression on scenes that are less complex of what the quality is going to look like with any given sample. So rather than trying out different render samples here and then making a render time and time again, you can just go leave your computer running, go grab some lunch or whatever, and when it comes back, you can get an impression of how many iterations it took to produce an image that looks like it currently does. So in our case, about 91, 92 samples. So knowing the quality of the denoiser, the better quality we can supply, the better the results will be. But I think then at least 200. I'll see how long 500 take. And maybe then we can, yeah, maybe then we're there. Yeah, if that's 100. Let's see what some of the other parts look like here. The interior, for example, in the kind of where the popcorn is. That makes sense why this didn't look particularly grainy in the renders I've showed you earlier, because these are light sources. That makes perfect sense. They may be a little bit hot here. I might tone them down. Actually, I'm going to leave them. I'm going to leave them as they are. I like the strip lights down here, so I don't think I'm going to change that. They came out really well. Yeah, there's just a lot going on. Let's have a look at the outside quickly. See if we're happy with that now. Oh, and I have changed the texture just for, I need to do that. I need to bring that back. This is now saying 3D Shenanigans rather than J Place. That was, I was supposed to say J Place here. I've changed that earlier so that I have a thumbnail for these live streams on my channel. By the way, there is a new channel. I've made a new channel to collect all these types of live streams. I thought I'm going to leave them up on my main channel for a while, for like a month or so, but then I'll take them off and I'll outsource them over to that other channel. It's called 3D Shenanigans. So I don't think I have a URL there. Let me see if I can dig one out. And then you can watch future live streams. I'll still stream them here and I'll still leave them here, but I will then kind of archive them off there so that they don't clutter up the main channel. That's the idea of it. the idea behind it. Much like I do with my gaming channel, so that there is that, you know, I've got a place where they can live and not interrupt the main program going forward, if you will. So I think, whoops, is this it? Yes, indeed. All right, so this is my new 3D Shenanigans channel. Drop by, be among the first subscribers. So that's really nothing other than just these types of live streams going forward for years to come, hopefully. So I'm happy with this as well. On the outside here, let's go and change this to J Plays, because my idea was I could make two title sequences. Once we're happy with how this looks, I can render this out twice. Once with the 3D Shenanigans here, and then I'll also replace the texture in the interior here, and the video on the projection screen. So I'm going to change that then into something else as well, and then we'll have we'll have two title sequences, one to begin these streams and one to begin my game stream. So that's the plan behind them. Come back, Blender, come on. There we go. Ah. Yeah, so the other thing I'd need to exchange is this then here. This says J Plays, and then the third one is this video. So I haven't made that video yet. I'm thinking that'll be something like I'll still start with that clock here. That's kind of nice, and then I'll show something that we saw on the holding loop, like one of those 3D Shenanigans logos there. That would, you know, something like that. That I could show that in here for the second title sequence. And then just to warn you of what's going to happen going forward, warn is a pretty drastic word, isn't it? But I'm planning a third title sequence that I need to build from scratch going forward, and that'll have camera animations and tricks in as well, basically completely from scratch. And that's for my interview project. So it will be something called Creative Minds, and that also needs a title sequence, and that needs to look completely different. So there's more to be done. Oh, I'm on the wrong keyboard. I keep doing that, thinking I'm pressing a key. Isn't that the key? And then I realize it's actually the wrong computer that the keyboard is talking to. It's not easy, I tell you. This is the sign. Yes, there we go. That's the 3D Shenanigans, it says now. So let's go and change that into... Do I remember what I called that? J Place, inside. No, that's the inside. Don't I have one for the outside? I remember it had a funky name. J Plays outside, I think that was it. Yes, there we go, perfect. So that's here, and then there's also this one here, which is left side, right side, there we go. J Plays outside, haha, perfect. Oh yes, and then also the lights that we have created here. What do they look like? Let's have a look at that. Me too. I mean, right now, I must say this is actually a lot of fun doing this collaboratively, you know, like we do right now. I think that's really nice. It gets me doing this as well, because these are the types of projects that just get put on the back burner, and they're not that important, and well, what's the point, and you've got better things to do. But if you say to yourself, hey, if you set an hour a day or 2 hours a day aside for this, and you do it at a particular time, then you have it just means you are productive more kind of casually. I don't think I would do it as structured as this if I were left to my own devices. So you're all here to supervise me, essentially, and keep me in check. I'm just having a look at the lights at the back here, the ones that we've set up yesterday. They do look nice. I wish there were more, you know, around here and there. But maybe that's something we can do another day. I would also like to explore adding completely different materials to this title sequence. Like right now, they're just basic, very basic shaders with the texture, the way they came. But aside from the glass and the lights, they're really basic. So ideally, I'd put something like a brick texture on here, and the seats on the inside, they'd have a proper fabric texture, and the counter that would have proper plastic texture and all that. So yes, I might do that going forward. We could just keep fiddling. But I think for now, I think that's it. And then we need another one for 3D scrutiny. So yeah, there's literally years of material to come. I like that. And we can also use different things. So I think for the creative minds, I had something in my mind. Check it out. This is like the first time I'm revealing the big mad idea I have. So Julia came up with the idea of a word cloud that she's used on a previous project, and I thought that was a really good idea. Let's have a word cloud in the shape of a brain. So you've got a brain, like brain shape, and in the brain we have lots of words in various fonts and all that. But when we start this, we're very much zoomed in, so it's a very big brain, and all we're focused on is literally one word that we can find there. So you imagine this is the brain, and we're kind of here zoomed in, and we move this around until we kind of examine various words. There'll be a little spotlight that'll show them, and we just go and reveal more and more words, and then we zoom out, so we reveal the brain shape. And then, so that's the brain with all the words on it. And then this thing, as a 3D object, kind of turns around and reveals creative minds on the other side of the brain. That's what I'm thinking right now. So we've got the word cloud there, so we can work with that. It's an SVG, so it has shapes that we can extrude and play with. And we'll just see what we come up with. So I've not started that yet, but let's finish this and the 3D Shenanigans thing. And then we'll see what else we do. I think actually that was it for today. I'll let this render overnight. Tomorrow I might explore the Sheepit render farm to see how we can utilize that, like a crowd render thing. That'd be nice. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for that. And I might also put together at that point I might have downloaded the PBX Extreme. Was that the one? I think it was, wasn't it? PBX Extreme plugin was an add-on for Blender, $50 from Blender Market, and I'll give it a go. I'm really excited to have a material library that is more extensive than the one that we have here, even though there may be something else hiding in here. That is also something I could literally explore that as well. Why don't we do? Let's try that before we go. Let's save the project and see if we can put a proper brick texture on the outside. I'm kind of interested in seeing what that looks like. Bricky texture. First of all, we save the project, very important. Let's see if we can find something like brick. Brick's not there, that's a shame. How about stone? Stone red, that might work. That might work. The material that we're referring to on the outside of the theater is what? Could be stone, could be walls. And this is definitely some kind of texture, so it has to be something else. Red brick, that's it. Yeah, that could be it. Yes, that's it. I've added a texture coordinates here so that the brick structure gets a little bit smaller, because when you bring something in from DAZ Studio, it often looks really large. I think on this wall, I haven't done it, so you can see the effect. That's what that looks like. I didn't change this because we don't see it, but this is what that looked like, and I've just made that smaller to just so that it looks, you know, a little bit better. But it still looks far from perfect in Blender. So maybe when we just, there's this other thing here, that's the red brick tan. So I might just put both of these things on there. Was it stone? Stone red, there we go. So stone red, apply that. Can't see anything. Okay, oh, it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom. Yeah, this might go wrong. And then we have that. Let's also apply that there. Extreme PBR, that's the one exactly. The cool thing about PBR shaders in Blender is that you can preview them in real time. So a little bit like this, you do get a bit of an impression. It still doesn't look like a building, I must say. So it's that probably wasn't such a good idea. And I can, of course, go in now and see if I wanted to investigate where I would make this effect smaller, or what this would even look like when it's rendered. Might look quite nice, but it's really cool that you can see how they've built it. Color ramp with, like, what is that, like 10 different steps. Yeah, all we need to do really is make that. Oh my God, it goes on forever. Look at that, Fresnel. Another mix and another glossy shader, my goodness. Are you an addict, Christina? You're a Blender market addict. It's just so cool how many funky solutions people have come up with there. That's unbelievable. Generated, that's cool. So we can then go, yeah, this doesn't look like a house, so I'm gonna go take that off again, I guess. But yeah, so that's another idea that I have, that I'd like to go through and try out some materials that just look better than the default one. So yeah, I'm gonna go undo this while I remember what I did there. And yes, join me tomorrow when we explore some other bits and bobs, including hopefully the final render, or at least an animatic type of render of this with corrected lights. Thank you so much for joining me. See me tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.